Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is the all-open forum discussion show. You know, every day on the John Campea Show, we save a few minutes for some live questions, but here on Open Mic, that's all we do. It's like an open call-in radio talk show specifying things about movies and entertainment, and a few other things like in the world of sports here and there as well, and that's what we like to talk about. You know, right off the top, I should mention the weekend estimates just came in. And kind of right where I thought, Avengers Infinity War took a 56% drop, which is right in the neighborhood of where I thought it would be around the 50, 52, 53% mark. So it comes in at about 57% drop, 57, 56% drop. Totally healthy. Actually, it's a really good drop. Now, that might sound like a big number, but remember, the more people that go out and see something opening weekend, the fewer people that are left to come out and see it on the second weekend. So, like, that's what I was trying to tell people. Were saying, oh, it's going to take a 35% drop because everybody's going to go out and see it again. And like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. But some people are like, it's going to take like an 80% drop. No, because there's no real competition. So, like, I thought it'd be right in that 50 range. Comes in at about a 50% drop, makes it another $112, $117 million second weekend. One of the biggest second weekends of all time, maybe the biggest second weekend of all time. I'll have to look into that. But again, real solid, good numbers for Avengers Infinity War. It just keeps right on motoring. All right, with all that out of the way, let's get into your guys' live questions. And we're going to start things off today with RR101. And RR101 writes, has Aquaman and Shazam in the works now? DC has Aquaman and Shazam in the works now. Yes, they do. How much do you think those movies will make? And do you think they will reboot after? Well, it's kind of impossible to say right now how much they'll make. I mean, there's no way. We haven't even seen a trailer. So we've had no way to gauge what kind of buzz they're going to have. We have no way to gauge how good or bad the movie looks. I mean, all these are key important things into figuring out or even taking a guess as to how much money a movie's going to make. My guess right now, but this is a wild guess based on nothing yet, because again, we haven't even seen a trailer yet. And without the trailer, that means the public hasn't seen what they're getting yet, which means we haven't had a chance to gain the public buzz yet and all that kind of stuff. But wild speculation off the top of my head, I'm going to peg Aquaman at, say, 600 million, which I think is a successful number. I think for a movie of its nature, that's a pretty good number. I think that's a good number for Aquaman. If it hits 600, great. If it hits 500, I think they'll be happy. If it just hits like 400, they might be worried. But I'm going to guess, wild guess 600, but I totally reserve the right to change that later. As far as Shazam goes, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm going to guess a little bit lower. So I'm going to guess Shazam probably at 475. 475, which wouldn't be a terrible number for a movie like that. So right now, initial guess based on nothing, Aquaman 600 million, Shazam 475. But again, that guess means nothing until we get a little bit closer and we start seeing marketing and start to gauge the temperature of the buzz for the audience members and stuff like that. Okay, let's move on here. Our number one also follows it up with, so minutes after you mentioned the Han Solo tickets selling fast, I looked online and man, they were even here in Cincinnati. I mean, they're crazy. Here's what's funny though. I mean, it is human nature to be very myopic, okay? As a species, we're pretty myopic. I mean, we are. We see things in our own little way, as with us as the center of the universe and in our own particular set of circumstances. So what's happened was I had a couple of people, because remember I told you the story, when I got the notification, bing, on my phone, Han Solo tickets now on sale. Ann, are we going to go see the Han Solo opening night with the audience? Ann's like, yeah. So I instantly, now remember, mere seconds have passed since the Solo tickets went on sale. I hop online, go to my theater, and only a few seats in the front row and a few seats in the back row are left. The notification went out like 2 minutes prior. All the time that it took me to go, Ann, are we going? Hell yeah. Grab my phone, open up my app, navigate to the showtime, blah, 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 and the show's almost already sold out. I was a bit shocked. I was shocked a while ago when they said the projection numbers are 150 million plus opening weekend, which I didn't think was possible, to be frank. And then this notification goes out from Fandango saying that Solo has sold more than double the amount of tickets in its first 24 hours of ticket sales than Black Panther did in its first 24 hours of ticket sales. The only movie in the past little while that it hasn't outsold in its first 24 hours was Avengers Infinity War. But more than double the tickets. Now you gotta understand, this completely shook my worldview. Because my worldview going into the Solo movie was, this is a movie most people didn't ask for. People are very apprehensive about a Han Solo movie that is not Harrison Ford. A lot of people very apprehensive about that. There were a bunch of people. I love the casting of the guy that got to play Han Solo. I loved the Alden Ehrenreich casting. But there were a lot of people who were very hesitant about it because they don't know anything about him. Maybe they didn't see, Hail Caesar or whatever. That's fine. Then all the drama about the directors coming and going. And then, of course, the fact that you got a good chunk of people, the minority, but a good chunk of people who didn't like The Last Jedi. All that led me to, I think, a fairly reasonable point of view that, I don't see Solo crushing it at the box office. I think it can make $100 million opening weekend, but that's about the tops, and that's not bad. For a little film with all the drama, nobody wanted, somebody who's not Harrison Ford playing Han Solo. A bunch of people didn't like The Last Jedi. This whole thing about Star Wars is dead now. Yeah, suck on that. And then all of a sudden, outpacing Black Panther ticket sales? Really? It's still hard for me to wrap my head around. I am starting to come to the understanding that, you know what, it probably will make north of $150 million. And here's the thing. I think maybe it becomes possible. What I thought was inconceivable. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Anyway, it was inconceivable to me, the notion that it would hit $200 million opening weekend. But now I'm like, well, damn. I mean, I'm seeing audiences freak out at the Solo trailers when I'm in theaters. We're seeing these projection numbers. And I'm sure we're going to talk about this more on Star Wars Talk Sunday a little bit later today. So Star Wars Talk, yes, is on today. Of course, we skipped last week because we had that little Avengers Infinity War spoiler review we had to do. But Avengers Talk, that's a whole new show, Avengers Talk. Star Wars Talk is on at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, so make sure you check in on that. But anyway, what was inconceivable to me is now I got to wrap my head around that it's totally plausible. And somebody, I think it was one of our regular viewers, Jedi Knight and Friend of Captain Solo is their username. They brought up a really interesting point yesterday. And they said, could it be that, you got a group of people who didn't like The Last Jedi, but maybe those people might be the hungriest to see a new Star Wars movie. Like, to them, those people that didn't like The Last Jedi, which is nothing wrong with not liking The Last Jedi. If the movie didn't work for you, it didn't work for you. I don't care what title is on it, whether it's Avengers or Star Wars or Jason Bourne or whatever. Whatever labels on it, doesn't matter. If the movie didn't work for you, it didn't work for you. Nothing wrong with that. But their proposition to me was, well, hey, what if those people who didn't like The Last Jedi, what if those people are actually the most looking forward to getting into theaters as quick as they can and see another new Star Wars movie, to them to wash what is to them a bad taste in their mouth out? I said, you know what? That's actually, I hadn't really considered that. That's a great observation. So I think the reports, those people who did not like The Last Jedi, who are so desperate to convince you not to like see, this is what drives me crazy. And it goes both ways. It drives me crazy when I see people who love a movie and are like, to anybody who didn't like the movie, try to convince, just try to hammer into them. There's one thing for them to state their opinion. I love this movie, and here's why I love this movie. But then when seeing those people try to talk other people who didn't like it into loving it, and then suggesting there's something wrong with them if they don't like it, and blah, blah, blah. It goes the other way, too, and we've seen it go the other way with Star Wars Last Jedi with, there's this vocal minority of people who didn't like The Last Jedi. Most of them totally just because it didn't work for them, which is totally fine. But then you get the small fragment of them. And I think probably goes both ways. Small fragment of people who liked it as well. But you get the small fragment of people who didn't like The Last Jedi, who just made it their own crusade mission to try to talk other people into not liking The Last Jedi. And it's like, hey, look, dude, you don't like it. That's cool. But you're not going to talk me into not liking it because I watched it and it worked for me. Unlike Clone Wars, unlike the prequels, unlike some of Rebels, I watched The Last Jedi and it worked for me. So you're not going to change my mind. And they so desperately try to promote this narrative that Star Wars is dead now. Nobody cares about Star Wars now. And then what happens? You get this little movie called Solo coming out that nobody wanted, nobody asked for, all the drama in the world surrounding it, a bunch of people not liking the previous Star Wars movie that came out, and they're saying its advanced ticket sales are in pace ahead of Black Panther. They now remind me of the people who go, there's comic book movie fatigue. Everybody's tired of comic book movies now. Really? Because, you know, we just had Black Panther make over $1 billion. We just had, you know, Avengers Infinity War could be on its way to being only the 4th movie in history to joining the $2 billion club. Doesn't look like it's dead. Star Wars is dead now. Really? Because it looks like this little side film in the Star Wars universe is going to open close to 200 million. Now, maybe I'll end up being right and it'll be 100 million, which great. That's fine. Even 100 million is fine. But it looks like it could get closer to 200 million than 100 million. Tell me again how there's comic book movie fatigue. Tell me again how nobody cares about Star Wars anymore. I'm dying to hear your explanations, because the numbers, which are not subjective, are telling a different story. But we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, getting to your point about how you look like even in Cincinnati, boom, 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 they're selling out. I had this one guy find some theater in his city that didn't have many seats sold, and he takes a screenshot of that one theater somewhere in some buck-backward city that he lives in and sent it to me in an image saying, see, John, they're lying. They're lying. They're not selling that many tickets. See, because I found one movie theater that isn't sold out yet. Some people's logic when they're so desperate to try to make a point is kind of hilarious. But anyway, yeah, it's selling way ahead. And look, I can't even claim this as a fan as a win, because as a fan, I've been saying I can't see Solo cracking 100 million. And so, you know, hey, what do we know? All right, let's move on here. Next one comes to us from Murray for Us. And Murray for Us writes, I just want to let you know that Jonathan skipped a super chat on Avengers Infinity War discussion part 4, 835 mark, by Retlaw Production Studios. Okay, if that happened, our bad, nothing we can do about it now. I mean, look, we literally got in over like 300, I think, questions came in, some ridiculous number like that. And we are desperately trying to keep track of all of them and go through, but you know what happens. Every once in a while, one might slip through the cracks. I feel bad about it, but it is a possibility here. I don't have a team of 8 editorial staff sitting around me tracking all that kind of stuff. It's like, so it happens. I feel bad about it. I mean, no, I don't just feel bad about it. I feel terrible about it, but there's really not. It's going to happen. All I can do is apologize, and I can't even look you in the eye and promise you it won't ever happen again, because that would be a lie, because I can't guarantee that. Accidents happen, things slip through the cracks, and I feel terrible about it, but it is what it is, and whatever it was, the question's gone now, so I feel terrible about that. But it is what it is. Murray Frost writes, should Shazam move its April release date because it's sandwiched between Captain Marvel in March and Avengers in May? No, to be quite honest with you, I think that makes it a perfect spot, because look, let's be realistic here. Once you get a couple of weeks separation, you're fine. In today's box office world, the vast majority of movies make the vast majority of their money in the first 2 to 3 weeks. That's where most of their money is made, is in the first 2 to 3 weeks. Not all of their money, but a majority of their money is made in the first 2 to 3 weeks. So, like a Captain Marvel that opens up a number of weeks before Shazam probably won't hurt it. As a matter of fact, if Captain Marvel is great, and this is what DC is hoping. Right now, Warner Brothers and DC are hoping that Captain Marvel is fantastic. They want people going out to that movie, having a great time at a comic book movie, and then go, guess what? In just a few weeks, you can go out and see the next one. And then they'll offer up Shazam. It'll help. It won't make or break it, but it'll help if the movie's really solid. And then once again, once Shazam has been in theater for a couple of weeks, it's made the majority of its money. And then, you know, the next Avengers film can open up and it's fine. So, no, I actually think they're pretty good where they are. I think they've picked a really good spot. I think this is an ideal placement for them, so I don't think they'll move it. And I don't think they should move it. I think they should keep it right where it is. Let's see. Manuel Fernandez writes, you mentioned how your favorite Bible verse was For the name of God is blasphemed. Okay, the full Bible verse is, the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles because of you. What exactly does it mean and why is it your favorite? Okay, so for those of you who may know, I used to be a theologian. And the reason that was my favorite Bible verse, it's the Apostle Paul writing to Christians, not to anybody else. He was writing to his own faith group, right? To Christians. And you know what Christians like to do, right? They like to blame everybody else for everything that's going on. That's what Christians like to do. And that was always my favorite Bible verse because it was the Apostle Paul himself saying, hey, you know why God gets a bad name? You want to know why God gets a bad name? It's not because of those people. It's not because of those people. It's because of you. And he put the spotlight right back on his own faith group. He goes, if God gets a bad name, it ain't because of anything else. It's because of you and your actions. And that's never been more true than today, right? Like, I'm still a believer in the traditional Judeo-Christian faith. I am. But the reason I believe like the Christian religion gets a bad name isn't because of other people. It's because of Christians acting like idiots. That's my philosophy. That's what I think that Bible verse means. And I've always loved that verse because it puts the attention where the attention should be. And, you know, kind of one of the reasons why I left the organized church was because the organized church, I'm going way too much in this. I'll just finish my thought with this. Because to me, the organized church, in North America at least, is so obsessed with making other people act the way they think they should act, instead of putting the spotlight back on themselves and making sure that they're acting the way they should be acting. One of my biggest turnoffs with the church, and one of the reasons why I left the organized church, was because of the constant spotlight of saying us being a people of our faith group is all about making those other people act the way we think they should act, as opposed to being a faith that's about turning the spotlight on themselves and saying, let's be more concerned about how we're acting. And anyway, that's what that Bible verse means to me. Not that 90% of you guys just tuned out because I got into that. Sorry about that, but the question came up, so I answered it. Ben Rayner writes, John, do you think Cinemia will ever do more than 3 movies a month? The unlimited movies is what interests me about MoviePass. Will Cinemia do that? No, and they shouldn't. Why? And this is why MoviePass is going to go out of business before Cinemia does. All right? Because the unlimited MoviePass idea is not workable. It's not sustainable. You can't do that. Like, it's fine. You can say, I want a free car every month for $5 a month. Okay, that's great. And somebody can come along and say, hey, we're going to create a new car membership thing where you get a brand new car every month for just $5 a month. Yeah, of course we all want that, but whoever puts that business together is going to go out of business. They're going to go broke and they're not going to survive. Cinemia is doing it way more intelligently. They are offering a great value to moviegoers at a fair price that makes it sustainable, that they can continue doing it. You know, a business plan says you give me $10 a month and we'll pay for $500 a month in movie tickets for you. That's not a business that's going to last. So no, Cinemia will never offer the unlimited plan, nor should we ever want them to, because that would spell disaster for them and they would go out of business within a couple of years. Cinemia is by far the smarter company. They are pricing their things rationally, reasonably. Like, I pay $30 a month for my Cinemia, right? And if I use all 3 movies, that means I get 3 movies a month and I get 2 tickets to each movie, not just one. And where I live, and that includes I can go to a movie in the AMC Prime, which you can't do with MoviePass. AMC Prime tickets are like $22. So just going to one movie in the Prime with my wife or a buddy, there's $44 in tickets. Let's round it up with taxes. There's $45 in tickets just for the one movie. Now, the other movies I go to, on average, are about $15 a ticket. I get 2 for each one, so that's 30 extra bucks per movie. At 2 movies, that's 6 extra bucks. That means I'm getting $105 in movie tickets per month for $30 a month. I'm saving $75 a month. That's good value. That's great value. And it's a sustainable business model for the company doing it. Look, MoviePass, I've told you this before, this is my core belief. MoviePass's strategy right from the beginning was, and I carry a Movie Pass card. I have a Movie Pass card. But Movie Pass's strategy from the beginning was, we know we can't survive on $10 a month and giving people unlimited movies. We know that'll drive us out of business. And the recent auditor's report has pointed to that. The auditor's report just said, this is non-sustainable. The outlook does not look good. There are serious doubts about the business prospects for Movie Pass. That's from the independent auditor. But their whole strategy from the beginning wasn't about making money on $10 a month. Their whole strategy was get as many people as possible to sign up, get it into the millions, which they did, and then use those people who signed up as leverage to blackmail the movie studios and the movie theater chains into cutting Movie Pass into their business. That's a flawed system. When your system relies on your ability to strong arm another company to do what you want them to do, that's a precariously bad business choice. Cinemia, on the other hand, they've put together a business plan that is based on them making money on their membership revenue. Understanding that some people are going to max out their benefits and many people will not max out their benefits. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like the old Netflix model. That Netflix made money off the people who didn't get a new DVD every week. That's where they made their money. So Cinemia has a much more sound business plan that sets them up that they can exist into the future, whereas I expect Movie Pass to be a thing of the past. Movie Pass will be a thing of the past within a couple of years. It'll be gone. So I don't expect Cinemia to do it, and I would be very disappointed in that they did, because that would spell the writing on the wall that they were heading for disaster. That's my thoughts. All right. Next up comes from us from Dimebag 505. I love that name. Dimebag 505 writes, "Hey John, thank you for all that you do." Thank you so much. For all the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai fans, check out the music video for Sweep the Leg by No More Kings. It's awesome. I have never even heard of that. I am not watching Cobra Kai, but you're damn right. I'm going to check out that music video, Sweep the Leg by No More Kings. I'm going to check that out. Thanks for the recommendation, Dimebag. I appreciate that. All right, Murray for Us writes, do you like mezzanine seating in theaters, or do you mostly prefer stadium seating? I prefer stadium, like the majority of big theater chains, because you can sit higher. Oh, I absolutely prefer stadium seating. And there are still a number of theaters out there that do just the flat floor seating with the screen up high, and it's always difficult. I'll tell you what, the third time I went to go see Avengers Infinity War was in a great little theater, but it was flat floor. Well, a little bit of a slope, but it wasn't stadium seating. It was basically flat floor, right? And it was me, Ann, Ray, and our buddy Ryan. And we're in the theater waiting for the movie to start. And this couple comes in, and I gotta tell you, the girl in this couple was a beautiful girl. However, she had hair that was gorgeous, but hair nonetheless, I was like, woo, like way out like this. And she ended up sitting in front of my buddy Ryan. And had we been in stadium seating, where there's a bigger slope, where the person's head in front of you is to here on you, her hair would have come up to here. He still would have seen the screen fine. But it did present a problem for him being, so most of the Infinity War, he was like this, watching it like this, and then every once in a while, going to the other side like that. So it was unfortunate, and it wouldn't have been a problem if we were in stadium seating. So look, mezzanine seating is still great and all, but I really do prefer the stadium seating. All right, next one. Clock Penalty writes, where would it go? There it goes. Will Shazam use the name Captain Marvel? Confusion for, I don't know what 4GA is. Anyway, will Shazam use the name Captain Marvel? No, because that's not his name anymore. Years ago, the comics changed it. There's still some confusion about that. It used to be for the longest time that Shazam was not his name. Shazam is just the word he used to change into Captain Marvel, and that was his name, Captain Marvel. Of course, Marvel has a Captain Marvel, which has caused some confusion, understandably so. Anyway, a couple of years ago, long story short, a number of years ago, DC stopped using Captain Marvel, and the character's name officially became Shazam. That is the character's name now. His name is not Captain Marvel. His name is Shazam. So no, Shazam will not use the name Captain Marvel because as of a few years ago in the comics, that isn't his name anymore. That's never been his name. As far as the new continuity goes, his name has always been Shazam. It's not Captain Marvel. So no, they will not use the name Captain Marvel. Ben Hayusa writes, just a happy Rusev Day. Well, thank you so much. A lot of people forgot today was Rusev Day. Happy Rusev Day to you as well, Ben. Saw Infinity War 4 times already. Well, you're ahead of me now. I've just been so busy. I've not had a chance to sneak out and watch it again. I think we're going to go this week, maybe once or twice. Now that the crowd size has died down a bit, I think we'll go out and catch it this week, maybe 2 or 3 more times. I'm very excited about it. So and happy Rusev Day to you as well. Rose Ryan just sends in support. Thank you so much, Rose. I appreciate that. Rose does that a lot. She just supports the show. So thank you, Rose. I appreciate that a lot. Murray for us writes, when is Star Wars talk coming back? Oh, Star Wars. Yeah, we just took a week off because we did the Infinity War thing. Star Wars talk is today. I think it's going to be 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I may have to move that to 3 p.m. It all depends. There's a family function going on with Anne's family, and I may not go because I have so much. I still have to get caught up. I still have to do my God of War review. I still have a companion video I have to do. I still have parts 5 and 6 of the Infinity War spoiler discussion videos to do. And I got Star Wars talk today to do. So I'm trying to figure out a way that I can make it because Anne's got family, like government family from the Philippines visiting. And like apparently one of the aunts is a fan of mine and they really want to meet me. So I'm trying to figure out a way that I can go to. So if I do not go, it'll be at 2 o'clock. If I do go, it'll probably be at 3 o'clock. Just keep an eye on the YouTube feed. I'll let you guys know what time it's going to start, but I'm aiming for 2 o'clock. All right. Manuel Fernandez writes, there are challenges to working 7 days a week. Manuel Fernandez writes, I'm moving into my first apartment. That's awesome, man. For my television, should I get cable or something else? Hey, look, you have to do what's best for you. What I will tell you is that I became a cord cutter like 8 years ago. I can't remember, 7, 8, 9, maybe it was even 10 years ago. But the moment the first Roku came out, I canceled my cable. And that's, like I said, maybe 8, 9 years ago that I did that. And I have never looked back. Especially now today that you can get Roku, and which is free. I mean, you buy Roku for like, I don't know, $100. But then like you've got, all you really need are Netflix, Hulu, and one live television streaming service. And there's a bunch of live television streaming services. Hulu now has like 40 plus channels of live TV. There's Sling TV that has like 40 plus channels. I have become a fan, and what my daily driver now is I use the YouTube TV app because it gives you like 40 of the biggest channels. Plus you have a digital DVR. You can watch it on any of your devices. So all you need is a Roku, one of the streaming television apps, your Netflix and Hulu, and you're good to go. I would say skip cable. Cable is a dying thing. I just get a Roku or an Apple TV or whatever works best for you. I suppose a Chromecast is also a possibility. You can get an Amazon Fire Stick as well. Any of those things. I personally am a big Roku fan. But yeah, I think you can do without cable. I do without cable just fine. I have for years. Okay, let's see. Next one comes to us from, and congratulations on getting your own place. That's great. Dakota Barber writes, after seeing Infinity War 3 times, I can say that Thanos is my favorite comic book villain. I was pleased how well developed he was. Josh Brolin did a great job. Agree with you across the board, Dakota. And every time I watch it, I've also seen it 3 times. Every time I see it, I am more impressed with how much depth, how much dimension, just how well fleshed out of a villain that Thanos is. They've done a great job and arguably the best comic book villain ever. I won't say Josh Brolin's performance is better than Heath Ledger's performance. I'm not saying that. But when you take the whole picture into consideration, I think there's an argument to be made, at least a good debate to be had, about Thanos being an even better villain than Joker in The Dark Knight was. And I remember when I saw the movie, before anybody else did, like when I saw the premiere, and I said to people, guys, there's going to be an argument to be had here that Thanos might even be a better, more fleshed out, more deeper, more multi-dimensional villain than the Joker was in Dark Knight. And I had so many people who had never seen the movie yet go, "You just lost all credibility." And like, you do realize you're making yourself look like an idiot for saying something like that when you haven't even seen the movie, right? Like, at least wait till you see the movie first. But I had so many people, "Oh, now you lost me, Campea. How dare you suggest something's better than..." And since then, to some people's credit, a few of those people have written back to me and apologized, saying, "You know what, I think you're right. I shouldn't have said that before I saw the movie." So to some people's credit, they actually wrote me back. Now, that doesn't mean you have to agree or disagree, but I think you at least have to acknowledge that Thanos and the Joker from The Dark Knight are in the same discussion. Whether you still prefer the Joker, that's fine. I might still too. I'm not totally sure yet, but you have to at least acknowledge that they're in the discussion together, because what they did with Thanos was just insanely great. Okay, next up, John Demoto writes, "John, haven't been impressed with the Jurassic World 2 Fallen Kingdom trailers. Neither have I. Do you think it can surprise like the first Jurassic World? I'm a huge fan of the first one. Thanks and keep up the great work." Yes, it can. The only reason I'm saying it can is because the first one did. I didn't think the trailers for the first Jurassic World were all that great either. And I doubted, I mean, I knew it would be big, but I never on the best day would have ever guessed that Jurassic World at the time was going to set the record for the biggest opening weekend in box office history, beating the Avengers. Never saw it happening. As a result, I am officially out of the doubting Jurassic World business. The doubting Jurassic World business is not a good business to be in. I doubted it the first time around, and it destroyed box. Now, I don't suspect that Jurassic World is going to do as well financially or open as big as the first one did, but I think it's still going to be a powerhouse. And like you, I enjoyed the movie more, the first one, than I thought I would. And that very well could be the case here too. I think it's going to do solid. So yes, I think it can surprise us. Will it surprise us? I don't know yet. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. We'll have to wait and see. But I definitely believe there is precedent there to back up the belief that it can surprise us, because the first one did just a couple of years ago. So let's see what happens. But I'm with you, man. I have not been impressed with the trailers yet. Have not been impressed with the trailers. So let's see how that all turns out. All right, the number Thor writes, "Will we see Cap with his round vibranium shield again?" I have to believe that he will. Yes. I have to believe that we will. Because at some point, Captain America has to be holding that shield, stand on top of a rock or a car, and yell, "Avengers Assemble." That's gotta happen. It's gotta happen. And I do completely believe, and I believe it was really key that we didn't even, I almost gave a spoiler away about, all right, you know what? I'm going to give a minor, this is a spoiler of omission. I'm going to tell you something that's not in the movie, okay? For those of you who haven't seen Avengers Infinity War yet, I'm not about to tell you something that is in the movie. I'm about to tell you something that's not in the movie. So this is a minor spoiler, okay? The round shield is not seen in Infinity War. It's not there at all. And I think that's on purpose, because the longer we go without seeing it, I believe when it finally comes back on screen and Cap has that shield again, it's going to be a bone-chilling moment. I think that moment that we see Captain America with that shielding, because have been a couple of movies since we've seen it, and he picks up that shield again and puts it on his arm, and the Avengers music plays, ba, 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 as he holds up the shield. I think the heavens will open up and angel tears will fall down from the sky, blessing all of us on the ground. I think it's going to be an amazing. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that scene of Captain America getting the shield back. So yes, I believe he's going to get the shield back. Number Thor writes again, better show, Hercules or Xena? Your opinion. You know what? Off the top, I thought Hercules, but I actually ended up liking Xena better. I enjoyed Xena more. Ben Robinson writes, thoughts on LeBron this postseason? Look, if God of War was right, and there are gods walking among us, LeBron James is a god. LeBron James is a small g god. There's just no other way around it. What he has done, first of all, let's be really clear here. The Cleveland Cavaliers suck. They suck. That team is not even a playoff team. Not even a playoff team. That team would never even make it into the playoffs if LeBron James was not there. You know? Like, there are some people who foolishly try to argue, Steph Curry's better than LeBron. Oh my God, please, child. Please. Steph Curry is magnificent, and I love Steph Curry. But without him, that team, that Golden State Warriors team can still win the NBA title without him. I'm not saying they would, but I'm saying they would still pose a threat to win the NBA title even without him. Hell, you might even make an argument that Steph Curry's not even the best player on his own team now that Kevin Durant's there. You know, you take Steph Curry off that team may still win the championship. You take LeBron James off that Cleveland Cavalier team, they don't even get within a whiff of the playoffs, let alone anything else. And show me another player that almost nightly leads his team in points, rebounds, and assists. Because almost every Cleveland Cavalier game, last night was an exception, but almost every Cavalier game, when I look up at the stats on ESPN, they always show team leaders in points, rebounds, and assists. And it's always LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James. He's their best playmaker, he's their best scorer, and he's the best hustler. Points, assists, rebounds. I mean, he's what this guy does. I mean, a lot of people forget too, the year after Michael Jordan left for the first time he left and first time he retired, the Chicago Bulls, with Scottie Pippen now as their leader, they came within one game of the NBA Finals. They made it to the semifinals that year and came within one game, or two games, sorry. They came within 2 games, if I remember properly, of getting to the NBA Finals without Michael Jordan. A couple years ago, this is the best argument in the world. A couple of years ago, before LeBron James left Cleveland for the first time, in his final year on Cleveland, Cleveland finished as the number 1 team in the NBA. They didn't win the title that year, but they finished the regular season at number 1. The very next year, go look this up if you don't believe me, the very next year, the first year they were without LeBron James, guess what place they finished in? Dead last in the NBA. They went from first place in the NBA to dead last. The Bulls without Jordan came within a couple of wins of the NBA final. I mean, I'm not saying LeBron's better than Jordan. I'm not saying that at this point. But this dude, LeBron, like, even for those of us who are not the world's biggest basketball fans, you have to appreciate that we are alive right now watching possibly the dude who might eventually go down as the greatest basketball player of all time. What this guy does, I've never seen another NBA player do. This guy is their best defender, he is their best rebounder, he's their best playmaker, and he's their best scorer. And I've just never seen it like that before. And what he's been doing in the playoffs, like averaging 38 or 40 points in the playoffs, hitting, like, he's now has more playoff buzzer beaters than Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant combined. So, I mean, he's like the ultimate clutch player. I don't know. What he's been doing is inhuman. Like, it's just inhuman what he's been doing. And it's nuts. It's a privilege to watch. Okay. Oops. Sorry, had the big skip here. All right. Next question comes to us from David Harris. And David Harris writes, how long will Khabib Nurmagomedov, I never pronounce his last name, I just call him Khabib, gonna hold that belt as long as he wants? Look, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Like Matt Serra, don't forget this, Matt Serra beat George St. Pierre once. He got in a lucky shot, which can happen to anybody at any time, and for a short time, he held the welterweight title. Matt Serra was the welterweight champion for a while. He beat George St. Pierre, one of the best mixed martial arts practitioners of all time. Now, of course, George St. Pierre came back in their rematch and beat the living shit out of him, but Matt Serra beat George St. Pierre. In a world that can happen, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Somebody gets in the right uppercut. Somebody hits the right elbow at the right time, scores that one takedown that gives them full mount, and they can do some damage. I mean, anything can happen. But that notwithstanding, Khabib's going to hold the title as long as he wants because nobody in that weight division is anywhere close to his class. So it's going to have to take one of those anything can happen sort of scenarios for him to lose the belt because I don't see him losing it anytime soon. I really don't. Chris Martin writes, "Hey John, it's my birthday. Happy birthday, Chris. I'm seeing Aladdin the musical tonight. I loved Aladdin the musical. Like, not as much as Beauty and the Beast or the Lion King musical, but the Aladdin musical is great. And I don't know who the company is that's putting it on for you, but the company that I saw it with, the dude who played the genie stole the show. Like, it was just spectacular. And I had a really good time watching Aladdin. That was just like 2 or 3 months ago, we went to go see Aladdin at the Pantages here in Los Angeles. And it was so much fun. I think you're going to have a good time, man. It's really enjoyable. Let's see here. Jeremy95 writes, Dominic Toretto beat Thanos in Avengers 4. Oh, yeah, you know, I told you guys, Universal and Disney are going to make a deal to cross over characters, and ultimately, Dominic Toretto is going to stop. First of all, Thanos is going to come out with the Infinity Gauntlet, and just Dom is just going to yell, family, and it's going to stop the gauntlet, and then he's going to walk over and just pluck the gauntlet off Thanos' hand, and then he's going to beat Thanos. That's how it's going to end. Mark my words. Bryant Diaz writes, my girlfriend just ordered me the Thanos and Thor hot toys. Oh, you've got that. That, sir, is what we define as a keeper. You put a ring on that girl right now. Just ordered me the Thanos and Thor hot toys. Clearly, I've got a good one. The question is, what do I do in return? Put an Infinity Stone on. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. Like my Infinity Gauntlet, which is not on my shelf right now. You see right there's where my Infinity Gauntlet usually is. It's not on my shelf right now. You guys know I'm buddies with the Fine brothers. And they were over here the other night and they're like, oh my God, what's this gauntlet? We got this thing we want to use your gauntlet for. Can we use your gauntlet? So, yeah, so what? My Infinity Gauntlet's going to pop up probably on one of the Fine Brothers channels at some point. But my wife got me that. And she also got a lot of the stuff you see back here, stuff my wife got me, to be honest with you. So yes, Bryant, slap an Infinity Stone on that because you're never going to do better. When you find yourself a woman who will order for you the Thanos and Thor hot toys, my God, yeah. I mean, there'll be a long line of guys waiting for you if you don't want to, close that deal, my friend. Let's see. Nunyo Business writes, hey, John, too little too late for a Polanski kicked from the academy. No, look, honestly, it's never too late to do the right thing. Should that have happened earlier? Yes. You guys know on my channel, I've been screaming bloody murder about the whole Roman Polanski thing for years. Actually, one of the more I still have a lot of people write to me saying, John, I found your channel because I came across this video I did like 7 years ago called Roman Polanski, Brilliant Filmmaker, Child Rapist. Anyway, so no, it's never too late to do the right thing. Should they have done it sooner? Yes. But I am glad they finally did it. So I'm not going to give them a hard time for waiting this long. I'm going to give them props for doing the right thing. So yeah, not too little, too late. No, I'm glad they did it. Should it have happened earlier? No doubt. But it didn't. The past is the past. What did they do today? They took that step. It was the right step to take. So there you go. Brody Bradley writes, lasagna or bolognese? Lasagna. I am something about my brain. Lasagna is not my favorite food in the world. I love it. I love lasagna, but it's not my favorite, okay? But there is something about a good lasagna that my brain will disconnect the full sensation my stomach gets when I'm eating lasagna. Because you can give me a tray of lasagna, I will polish that sucker off. You fill that tray with anything else, I'll get like really full halfway through. But there's something about lasagna that my brain goes, disconnect the full function. So I don't even sense that I'm getting full until I'm going to vomit or whatever. But like lasagna, I can peel through lasagna. Yeah, so that's that. Jack Bauer writes, hey, John, the Fandango notifications go out a few hours after ticket sales are released. I have noticed this before. So I watch the movie theater websites. Yeah, that's where I get my notifications from as well. I get my notifications from the theaters. Like I subscribe to like notifications from Regal, from AMC, obviously, and that's where I get my notifications as well. Because you're right, they do go out first. I don't know if that's like if that's a part of the deal. I think that might be part of the deal that the theaters have with studios. Like, hey, we get first shot at making tickets available. Now, whether that's by a day or a few hours, whatever, that might be a part of the overall deal, which is smart. I would understand that. Number Thor writes, what makes more at the box office? Avengers 4 Episode 9. I've been asked that question about 5 or 6. If Solo comes out and crushes it and reestablishes a lot of very positive momentum for Star Wars, that could shift Episode 9. But right now, things as they are right now, I will guess Avengers 4. Let's see. AZ21... Bob666 just sent in a super chat. Thank you so much, AZ. Yours trolly writes, thoughts on the new DC stream service and its shows. I think the streaming service is a great idea. I do. Right now, not impressed with the lineup. The behind the scenes shots that we've seen for Titans looks crappy. But then again, I always say, don't read too much into out of context behind the scenes photos. So I'm not going to get too worked up about that. But still, I'm not interested at all in Titans. I have never liked Young Justice. I know everybody tells me it's great, and I finally binge watched the first season. I'm like, I do not find this interesting at all. So I stopped watching it. Although the Swamp Thing one intrigues me. That does. Harley Quinn, not intrigued. I love the character. I don't have any faith about what they'll do with her on a streaming television service, though. Yeah, right now, not super impressed with the lineup they've given us, except for that Swamp Thing thing. That's got me curious. The Swamp Thing one's got me curious. But it is the right idea. It's a really bold idea to try it, and let's see if it works. I mean, ultimately, it's going to come down to, do they put out good content or not? And that's what's going to be the real judge. So we'll wait and see what that happens. But I do think the basic idea of them doing it is a worthy idea, even if it doesn't work. This is one of those things where, look, sometimes great ideas don't work. That doesn't mean it wasn't a great idea. It just means it didn't work. I think this is a great idea for them to try. Regardless if it becomes big and successful or regardless if it tanks, it's one of the things you go, yeah, it didn't work, but all the context suggested and all the circumstances suggested that was a good thing to try. It had a chance of being really successful. I think it was the right move for them to do. Now let's just see if they can put out the content to back it up and actually get people to sign up for it. I know right now I'm not planning on signing up for it, but you know, it depends. If you guys start all telling me that the shows are great, maybe I'll check it out. Connor Diaz writes, just wanted to say you've been helping me through finals this year and that you are an absolute pleasure and inspiration to watch, mate. You're the best. Thank you so much, Connor. I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, this is that you're getting that time of year where, I mean, people like finals. I've been having a lot of people writing me talking about finals and the pressures of finals and all that kind of stuff. I hope you're hanging in there. I hope they went well for you, and fingers crossed for you. So thanks so much for the kind words, Connor. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Hudson Smith writes, just saw Game Night. Holy crap, I miss Michael C. Hall. I love Game Night. Game Night is wonderful. You know, let me rephrase. Comedies can survive if all they do right is make you laugh. There's many things about Game Night that, yeah, wasn't that great of a plot and character development, blah, blah. But you know what? Bottom line was, it was a comedy and I laughed a lot. I laughed a lot in that movie. And Rachel McAdams, Jason Bateman were so good in it. The whole supporting cast was great. And if you haven't seen Game Night, and it didn't do great at the box office, so there's probably a lot of you who haven't, I would recommend checking out Game Night. I really would, because it's a really nice little film. ZOMG Ruler writes, why do you think talking box office is important? Well, I believe, some people misunderstand the significance of talking about box office. Because some people will say, people who don't get it, will basically say, what's the point of talking about box office? Who cares how much money a movie makes? It's not just about money. The amount of money it makes doesn't mean it's good, blah, blah. So why talk? Well, because what I constantly try to explain to people is because It's what the box office means. When we're talking about the box office, the most important thing about it is not money per se, but box office reveals a whole lot of stuff. For example, Avengers Infinity War, biggest opening weekend box office of all time. Okay, so that tells us a few things. It tells us, number one, that people were really looking forward to this movie. Because you can think people are looking forward to a movie and then it opens up and it makes $30 million opening weekend, right? But what it tells us is it tells us about what the audience is interested in, what they want to get out in support. Then when you track box office, you're saying, okay, now we can see, did it have legs? Was it generating word of mouth? It's basically, to me, box office is a vital conversation, not because of the dollars and cents, but because it gives us insight into what is appealing right now, what's appealing to the general movie-going audience. And what did they do to appeal to the general movie-going audience? What is it that they did that captured the attention and the imagination of the potential audience to actually want to come out, shell out some money, buy tickets, and go to the theater and watch it? And if you don't think talking about that, understanding what is appealing to the audience, what motivates an audience member to want to go and see a movie, what types of movies are getting audience members going, I want to go see that. If you don't think that's a worthy discussion to have amongst film fans, then I don't know how big of a film fan you are at that point. Like, if that doesn't even, I don't care what your opinion is on it, good or bad, but if you don't even think that the notion of understanding in our movie business what's appealing to people, what did they do to got them to appeal to them, why did a certain movie not appeal to people, what is working in marketing right now and what is not, what types of movies seem to be catching the imagination of moviegoers and what is not. If you don't think those are worthy conversations to have, then I don't know what to tell you. But talking about the box office is not just about dollars and cents. Yes, we get caught up in the big dollar signs, but really for me, where it becomes fascinating and vital is understanding what is attracting the audience, what is capturing their imaginations and what is not. Why did this movie do well and that one did not? Was it in the marketing? Was it in the subject matter of the movie? It's not the box office, it's what the box office means that elicits a lot of conversation from me, at least anyway. That's why I think talking about the box office is super important if you're a film fan. That's why I find it vital. All right, let's see here. AZ21 writes, John, have you ever been hit on by an actress? Yes. There was actually, some of you know this. I don't talk about it anymore, but some of you know, there was, you know what? I'm just going to skip over the question. I'm going to skip over it. Thanks. Akeem writes, I totally expect Marvel trailers to show plenty of scenes that will not be in the final cut. I'm not so sure about that. I think for Infinity War, there was a purpose to it. They purposefully did some misdirection with their trailers. Not to the point that it was false advertising, because that movie they advertised was the movie we got. Even though there were scenes in it that weren't there, we did get a proper taste of what Avengers Infinity War was going to be in their trailers. They specifically and purposefully put in some misdirection to keep the surprises in the movie, yes. But I don't know that other Marvel films really need that. Like I talked about this the other day that, you know, there's not a lot of Marvel films that actually have really true big spoilers in them. Many of them don't. Most movies don't. Most movies don't have that big, huge, plot-twisting spoiler that if you knew it in advance, it would fundamentally change the way you experience the movie. Very few movies have that. Avengers Infinity War had 3 or 4 of those moments in it. So it became really important for secrecy for that one. So I don't know. I don't expect it for Marvel movies moving forward. Maybe for the next Avengers movie, but I suspect that almost everything we see in the Ant-Man trailer is going to be an Ant-Man. Look, there is always the exception. Remember, these people are putting trailers together before the final cut's done. So a lot of times there are things in trailers that aren't in the movies, not because of any deception, but it's because at the time this was going to be in the movie and then ultimately it ended up not being in the movie. That's totally fair. That happens. But yeah, for the most part, I suspect we'll see most of the stuff in the trailers will be in the movies, except for maybe the next Avengers movie. The Flickin' Critic writes, kept up with Legion. Next week looks awesome. I have I'm up to the episode. Well, I don't want to say a certain character comes back at the very end of the episode. That's the last one. I don't know if a new one's come out since then, but that's the last one I saw. So yeah, basically I've been keeping up. So far, I have not liked this season as much as I liked last season. So I'm hoping it's going to start to pay off because, quite frankly, I found this season kind of slow and a little boring. But hopefully it's all setting up for something big, so we'll see. Brian Rogers writes, but John, I love Lady Bird. Iron Spider is cool. Ewoks are annoying. And you and your show is awesome. Please never stop. And did you change the weekly news feed? You mean the movie news feed? Yeah, I changed the movie news feed a little bit because the John Campea show is mostly supposed to be about the movie news, right? And what I was finding was we were spending, with doing the movie news feed the way we were doing it, we weren't spending much time on the movie news. So, and I wasn't doing a lot of commentary on the movie news. And I had a lot of people writing me saying, hey, we love the movie news feed, but we're not getting any of your commentary on those stories. So I slightly changed it up now. So now we open up with movie news, but I'm also commenting on all the movie news as we go before we get to the email questions. So it's still there. It's still a movie news feed. It's just we changed it up a little bit and expanded it a bit to make sure I'm giving commentaries and give a little bit of context and opinion on those stories as well as we move forward. All right. Next one comes to us from Captain Save Leho, who writes, when will we have a Mortal Kombat movie or Netflix series? It's past due to be remade in some way, except for the fact that there aren't any studios right now who think it can be profitable. And you know what? They're not wrong. They're not wrong. Look, if any studio thought they could make a Mortal Kombat movie and it would be profitable, they would jump all over it. However, things like those online series they did of Mortal Kombat a while ago, which were supposed to prove that the popularity of Mortal Kombat was still there and they should do a full-length feature film, it actually proved the opposite, and the studios that were looking at doing it backed away. So I honestly don't know. I don't know that we will ever get another Mortal Kombat. And because I don't know of any studio that's going to be willing to put up the money and do it with a firm belief that they can make a profit on it. I just don't know. I know the studios don't feel that way about it right now. So, I mean, I don't think the future looks promising. Let's just say that. All right. Carson Hutchison, who disappeared there for a second, writes, hey, John, do you think we'll ever get any remakes of some of the old Hollywood epics, i.e. Spartacus and others from that era? I grew up watching those films, and recent remakes just don't capture the glory of old films. Well, I mean, to answer your question, Carson, do you think we'll ever get them? They're happening all the time. You mentioned Spartacus. There was a revisit of Spartacus. Granted, it was in television form, and that Spartacus show is one of my 3 favorite shows of all time. And by the way, guys, just going to let you know, I'm very excited about this. Next week, I've been talking about this a little bit. I'm going to do a video that is unlike any I've done before. And I'm sitting down with one of the most fascinating women I know. Her name is Erin Cummings. You might recognize, speaking of Spartacus, she starred as Spartacus's wife in the Spartacus TV series. But she was also in Detroit 187. She was in, why am I drawing a blank on the name of this one show that everybody used to watch? And now I'm drawing a blank on, but she was in that show. She was just in The Disaster Artist recently. She was the featured guest star on like The Blacklist a few weeks ago. She was in Bitch Slap. That's how I met her. She's been in about like 15 major TV series and shows. She's just an amazing story. Like, she is the fly on the wall in Hollywood. She can tell you everything about Hollywood, but she's not that name you instantly recognize off the top of your head. But she has been through so much, through starting charity foundations. Like, she was in this show called Detroit 187. She got really attached to the city, and she started a charity there that I believe is still going called Mittens for Detroit. Then she's battled cancer. She's been on big shows and big movies, and is still like a working actress. Anyway, I'm going to be sitting down with her for a good 30 minutes to an hour interview, just talking about the business and from her perspective and all that kind of stuff, and her career and the ups and downs and the story she has. I am so excited about doing this video. I'm telling you what, I am so excited about doing this video. I'm so looking forward to sitting down with Erin. She's one of my favorite people in this business, and I cannot wait for you guys to meet her as well. But keep your eye open. That'll be coming next week. But as far as, so they did another Spartacus show. They did another Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur is one of the great all-time Hollywood classic films. They just did a remake of it. Are they failing to capture the glory of those old ones? Yes, they are so far. But when you ask, do we think we'll ever get any remakes of some of those old Hollywood epics? We're getting them all the time. Not necessarily great ones, but we are getting them, and we're pretty much getting them all the time. So, yeah, and I expect the trend to continue. Unfortunately, Carson, what I also expect to continue is the trend of the fact that they don't actually end up being all that great, if you know what I'm saying. All right. We're over time now, guys. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just fly. If you haven't sent in a question, do not send in any more questions. I'm just going to fly through the next bunch because I want to get all of these ones answered today. All right. James Dinsmore writes, watch Infinity War in 3 different formats, 3D, IMAX, and Dolby. As a former AMC employee, what's your favorite way to watch movies? Oh, I say this all the time. Even though I don't work for AMC anymore. First of all, I hate 3D. 3D can go fuck itself. AMC, Dolby. The Dolby Prime Theater at AMC, that is my favorite movie watching experience. More than IMAX, and I love IMAX, but more than IMAX, more than anything else. The Dolby Prime, AMC Prime theaters are my favorite theater movie watching experience, absolutely. Gabe Schmembarger writes, what do you think of Batman Mask of the Phantasm? Such a great character-driven story, amazing animation. Oh, I loved it. I did. When I was, and I haven't watched it again I watched it a couple of years ago again. And I remember thinking, whoa, this thing holds up. It is great. It's great storytelling. It's done kind of, it's not a noir film, but it is done in a noir style in many different ways. I really like it. I think it is one of, if you're going to talk about best comic book movie animated movies, I think that one has to be in the conversation. I love that movie. I really do. And I don't like many. I don't like many Marvel or DC animated stuff, but that one I do. Let's see here. Run Amok Design. I like that name. That's a great name. May the 4th is over. Happy Revenge of the 6th. Thank you so much, man. And yes, I mean, it's kind of Star Wars Day kind of turned into Star Wars Week, and really should turn into Star Wars Year. Absolutely. Act Naturally Productions writes, has that secret DC news been revealed yet? I'm not talking about it. I said when I brought it up first, I'm not going to mention it, and I'm not going to mention it again. Run Amok Design writes, enjoy your content daily. Thank you so much, Run Amok. Part of me wished Hasbro collaborated with Jolly Ranchers for Jolly Ranchers Infinity Stones. Oh, well, loved your Infinity War review. That's great. And of course, Hasbro has been in the news lately because Hasbro just bought Power Rangers. They just bought Power Rangers. So there's that. And of course, my wife works for Hasbro. So there's that too. Jacob Jansen writes, hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much. And hopefully you stick to it for a long time. Just wondering though, have you seen the show, The 100 on CW? It's my favorite show. No, I have not. Never watched an episode of it. I gotta admit, like I see previews for it when I'm watching Supernatural or Arrow or whatever. And it does look intriguing. I might, again, I've got a number of shows that I've got listed on my must binge list that I haven't started watching yet. So it may be a little bit further down the line, but I think at some point I want to give the 100 a shot because the previews have looked good. I'm hearing decent things about it. So I'll probably try to give it a shot at some point. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for being here and joining me and being a part of this. Don't forget, a little bit later today, guys, this afternoon, we got Star Wars talk is coming up. I'll put out a notification as to what time exactly it's going to start at, but it will be this afternoon. Of course, we're getting all into it again, right back into our regular rotation tomorrow with Open Mic in the morning, the John Campea Show in the afternoon. We've got a bunch of we got a companion video coming. We've got parts 5 and 6 of the Avengers stuff coming. We got the God of War review coming. Oh my God, I'm falling so far behind. But anyway, I will do my best to get caught up as fast as I can. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea. I hope you guys have a fantastic what's left of your weekend. And until next time, bye-bye.